Hey guys, Mark here, and this little guy is the Smooth X gimbal from Zhiyun. It's a 2-axis gimbal that will stabilize your smartphone across the X and Z axis, but not the Y. It does a great job overall, which I'll show you in just a bit with some test shots, but first, as always, let's talk about that design. Love the light gray color. It looks and it feels great in the hand despite being made from mostly plastic. It doesn't feel cheap at all despite its $60 price tag, and if you get the kit for 70 bucks, it also comes with this cool tripod extension that you can mount to the bottom with the 1/4-20 mount underneath. The gimbal comes all folded up, and to be honest, while it's cool that you can fit this into a very small form factor, the folding and unfolding of this thing is super unintuitive, and it feels like you're trying to break the gimbal every time you fold it away, so I usually just leave it unfolded. It's not that big anyway. It's got a zoom toggle on the side for when you're connected to your smartphone, a joystick for controlling the X and Z motors, a button to change the shooting mode, and a button to start recording video. The Smooth X charges via USB-C, which is awesome, and it has a power button and battery level indicator right here on the side. Other than how it folds away, I have no complaints about the design of this thing. It's very well built while staying lightweight at 250 grams, and it looks great. My all-time favorite thing about the design of this gimbal, though, is this neat little party trick. Yeah, it's got a built-in selfie stick pole. This comes in handy all the time because on a lot of smartphones, the front-facing camera doesn't get all that wide. So when you have this extension arm, it allows you to get a lot more in the frame. The motors are housed at the end of the pole, so the gimbal still functions like normal. It also allows me to get this really cool low to the ground shot without having to bend over. To get the gimbal working for the first time, you actually need to download the ZY Cami app and set it up via Bluetooth, which I really don't like. I mean, it should be able to work straight out of the box. After the initial setup though, you can just get rid of the app because you don't need it to operate the gimbal unless you want to use the zoom toggle on the side or use the gesture-based tracking built into the app. That second one is actually kinda useful. If you wave at it, it'll track you wherever you move on the X axis. It's a little jerky, but it's cool and I can see a bunch of uses for it, especially if you're out shooting by yourself. The gimbal has a few different ways that you can operate it. When you first turn it on, it'll swing the phone around to landscape mode, but if you double tap on the mode button, it'll switch to portrait mode if you want to do some shooting for, say, Instagram or something. Tapping once on the mode button will cycle between a pan mode and a locked down mode. The pan and follow mode will smoothly turn the gimbal as you turn around, whereas the locked in mode will stay in one place no matter what you do on the X and Z axis. As for the Y axis, well, this is only a 2-axis gimbal, so any movement you make on the Y axis will be translated into more camera shake or more jerky movements as it's not stabilized on that axis. In most cases, this is not actually a huge deal though, because most modern smartphones will have built-in optical or digital stabilization that should be able to remove most of that jerkiness. It's mostly the other 2 axes you need to worry about when it comes to camera shake anyway. Jen and I are about to head out on a short hiking trip, so I'm gonna take this thing with me, get a few test shots, and I'll tell you more about this thing when we get back. All right, Jen, where are we off to today?
La Manche.
La Manche is
a hiking trail.
Hiking trail, yeah. See, the funny thing is, whenever she wants to go hiking, I'm always like, no, I'm too busy, gotta work, got something to do, whatever else. But the second I have a product to review, that's when I go to her, and I'm like, yeah, let's go hiking. That's a great idea. Video is just so good on the iPhone 11. So yeah, overall, I was pretty impressed. I'll admit, when I first saw this thing, I didn't have high expectations since it's only a $60 gimbal, and I mean, GoPro sells a product called the Shorty for 40 bucks. That's literally just a selfie stick with a little tripod at the end. So for 60 bucks, you're actually getting a lot for your money. It's not gonna be as stable as a 3-axis gimbal though, because whenever you start running or introducing a lot of movement in that Y-axis, you're gonna get a lot more camera shake than a smartphone can normally reduce, and the footage tends to fall apart a bit, but most of the time the gimbal does really, really well, and overall I think it's a great buy. I don't shoot a lot of video on my phone, but I'm gonna make sure this little guy is in my bag whenever I travel, because there's not much else out there on the market that's as small and as light as the Smooth X is. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to support my channel, and as always, have a great day. as small and as light as this thing. Ooh, I almost just dropped it. Go, go, gadget arm.